Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's Mystic Minute is, are there such things as past lives? And the only reason I'm bringing this up is I was watching this thing the other day. It's one of my favorite astrologers, and then they started to talk about past lives. And now, I don't know deep astrology, but I think about astrology as being the astrological weather. And so when you're looking at somebody's natal chart and you're comparing it to what's going on in the sky right now, it's all within this present lifetime. Now, you can look at the weather and you can compare it to historical averages, but there's also kind of a prehistory which would be kind of hard to determine on a day-to-day basis. I can imagine all these geologists going, well, no, because you can look at the rocks and you can know it was a dry season during that millennium. So here's the thing about past lives. And to give you a little background, I started off going through 5 years of training with a mystery school that was based in mystical Christianity and also with a great healthy dose of like Tibetan mysticism, Eastern mysticism, and all sorts of other things. And so I started with clairvoyant training in reading past lives. And my story at the time, when I was looking at these past lives, is I was telling people they were like grades in school. And that just like we don't remember when we first picked up a crayon or learned to actually write, all of that comes together, all that knowledge and information comes together when you sit down to write a letter. And so past lives can be viewed that way. What I know now is that's a very linear way to look at things. It's viewing this world as like a timeline that is going from the past to the future, and which means past lives are in the past and future lives are in the future. And I'm this individual person who's going along this timeline. And there's just me, and there's a thread. So, I had a previous lifetime. And mind you, I have had feelings and sensations of previous lifetimes, and I have been places in the world. Like as a child, I was at the Tower of London, and I went, I've had a past life here. And I was in France, in the place where Joan of Arc came from, and I was like, oh, I've been here before, but I wasn't there, which is where the burning at the stake was. I was across the marketplace, and it was also like a different century or something. So I had those awarenesses. And even with those awarenesses, here's my information about past lives and future lifetimes, is that there is no time or space as consciousness. And to consciousness, it is all happening at once. And what we are also experiencing now with this greater raising of consciousness is we're noticing how time is becoming malleable. Time and space is just this big illusion. And the feeling I've grown to also is like time is more like lasagna, that it is all happening at once, and the past is like a denser vibration, and the future is like a lighter vibration. And just like you can't read floppy disks with your tablet, we can't detect the higher vibratory stuff with our current devices. And I know there's even flaws with that. So the thing is that it's all happening at once, and there's not the previous lifetimes being less than. They're not my previous grades in school. When I, as consciousness, already know everything, and there's no lessons I need to learn. It's all about experiencing, and I can jump into different storylines, and I've got simultaneous storylines going on at once. It's more complex than I can wrap my little linear brain around, because the physical body is having this sensation of going from the past to the future. So it's viewing everything from the physical body. And then it's amazing the filters that we put on things about previous lifetimes. It just is. I can't, and then there's the wisdom of Aristotle and the inventions of Leonardo da Vinci, and then there are civilizations that we don't even know about. And all of this actually are just stories in the hologram, because this is all a creation of consciousness. It is like a giant holodeck, and we can create other planets and galaxies and places that sustain life, as if we're in, Star Trek, The Next Generation, Star Wars, or whatever. We can create those things within it. We can create reptilian races and stories about that. And the reality is that we're consciousness experiencing all of this simultaneously and instantaneously as consciousness. But as individual form, we get to have the deliciousness of being here in the moment and getting this sensation. When you're in the moment with it, it's like you can really enjoy and savor the body that you're in, the meal you're having in front of you, the weather. Whether it's like this really gorgeous weather or really crappy weather, you can really enjoy the moment. So past lives no longer make sense to me in terms of past, in terms of karma. Karma is kind of a distortion. It's kind of in line with the whole idea of sin, or original sin, even that. Don't I go? Well, yes, I'll go to all those places, but you haven't made any mistakes. There aren't mistakes that carry over. You're not responsible for the sins of the father. You are the creator of reality, and you also, created the body and the storyline that you're in. And you're an infinite being experiencing all of these things. So I can imagine that as being in an individual lifetime and in an individual body and experiencing it as an individual personality, that it would be hard to grok the infiniteness of you and your ability to be experiencing all of this simultaneously and instantaneously, and wanting your individual thread of a lifetime. But you are not as limited as that. And it is not as limited as that. And there's no good or bad to it. It is all a fun creation. There's no good or bad to the stories Stephen King has written, or J.K. Rowling, as that matter. It's like those people are having the time of their lives, having the time of their lives writing those stories, and we're all having the time of our lives reading those stories. And it's the same thing with living and creating your reality now. So just imagine what it would be like if you just dropped the story of past lives, of karma, of carryover sin, or any of that distortion, limitation of your infiniteness and your amazing creative capability. Just imagine how your world would transform. And if you like these videos, share them, forward them, like them, and you can subscribe to them on YouTube. You can also sign up below to get them in your inbox. If you want to know more about how to navigate your life as greater consciousness and form, go to my website, joan-newcomb.com. I have a weekly blog and newsletter. I put out these videos as often as I can. I have other things that are coming up. I have a meetup in New York right now. I have an expo coming up this weekend in Kent. I'm bi-coastal. And if you want to specifically learn techniques for navigating and want to know how to be in this world as an expansive being, go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and look at my coaching programs. So go to joan-newcomb.com, and I'll see you in another few days with another Mystic Minute.